Chapter 1106 was another amazing chapter. Let's talk about it. This chapter is the gift that just keeps on giving. On every page, I feel like there's something to discuss. So Luffy comes out of his food coma, snaps back to his normal physical self, and stands up in Gear 5th. And then we pan back to the disaster that we left off on last week, which was the, what's his name? Kizaru cutting the pipe open, which exposed all of Kuma, Bonnie, Atlas, and Frankie in the air, and the pacifistas are taking aim to shoot them now. In this chapter, we have Vegapunk signaling or radioing to Atlas saying, hey, Atlas, it's time. Tell Bonnie the super secret saying. So Atlas goes whisper, whisper. Bonnie listens and then says, don't shoot us, Daddy. Help us escape the islands. And all the pacifistas change aim and start shooting at their comrades. And then you turn the page and you see all the pacifistas off in the background shooting at the ships and the explosions coming up. This page is incredible. We had a couple of really good spreads, really good panels in this chapter, my goodness. The one worry in the back of my mind was seeing Bonnie killed by the father she loved. If you were to harm the daughter you loved so much, Kuma, it would be a tragedy beyond compare. Therefore, I inserted a directive so that even if the highest authority in the world could command it, even if the entire world should be your enemy, understand this, Bonnie. Kuma will always be on your side. This is just a selfish wish of mine, and it means I know what comes next. Whew. Man, this scene is really good. Okay, couple of things. Saturn's big thing, his big way of dictating has been to treat humans as insects, to treat them as lesser than. His way of ruling has been, you fall in line, you follow my orders, or you get slapped down, you get killed, you get eliminated. What you have to offer me is never more important than your servitude. And if you fail to give me that, you forfeit your life. That has been Saturn's entire MO. So having Vegapunk look that in the eye and say, I know what I'm putting at risk here by changing the order of command, and I know what the consequences of my actions are going to be. But this is more important. The sentiment of Kuma will always be on your side is so beautiful, but then also the fact that he says, it's obvious that there will be consequences for my willful actions. Another big part of this arc has been free will. It's been how much of a person can be controlled. Again, I'll bring it up. The shark at the very beginning of the arc let us know that something's core instinct cannot be overruled by whatever kind of scientific control you try to put on them. Just the same, Saturn, a man of science who is trying to use science to control people, it's their free will that still dictates them. And it was Vegapunk choosing his own willful actions. He chose by his free will what he was going to do, knowing full well what the consequences would be, and making that choice. The panel of him getting run through is horrifying, but I love the way Oda did it, where on the page before that panel, we have the close-up of Vegapunk, and it's him recognizing, this is just a selfish wish of mine, and it means, and we have this close-up of his face, and then you turn the page, and that's us panning out to see what we were really looking at, which was the face of a man who had just been stabbed. And then here's his full body. And I love, too, the sequence of it. So the page before, you have his face close in, no blood on his face. And then we pan out, and it's like a second later, this is my headcanon, and now the blood's coming down the side of his mouth. And then we close back in on him, and it's a second later more, and he's even more looking in pain. So it's like we just watched this scene in 3 panels. We watched it escalate, as well as widened the scope so we could see what was actually happening to him. I love that, but I just, the panel itself, like the big panel of him being stabbed through is, I mean, it's horrifying. One of my patrons did point out to me that this is not The stab wound is not through his heart. It's on the wrong side. So maybe he is not gonna die. Another patron pointed out that it was mentioned earlier in the arc that they grow organs here on Egghead. So it's possible that they're like, punctured lung. Let me grab another one. I really don't want it to be so, because I think that this was a phenomenal death scene. And we knew throughout this whole arc, we all knew that there had to be a sacrifice. And if we're sacrificing Vegapunk, then that could potentially mean that Kuma will be able to make it through this, will be able to have some sort of being fixed up. Maybe he won't get his full ability to emote back, but he will still have his sense of self back. And he may be able to raise Bonnie. He may be able to finish raising Bonnie. She's 12. So he might actually get to finish being her dad. She might have gone out to sea to find her dad, found him, and not just to say goodbye. With this being a great sacrifice and a knowing sacrifice, knowing, all right, if we tell Bonnie that she has the highest authority and she can control the pacifistas, if we tell her that I will die, Atlas, let her know. I mean, that's a beautiful sacrifice. I kind of want to just let that sacrifice be. Now this is One Piece, so it doesn't matter how good your death scene is. We'll see what happens. You tell me. Do you think Vegapunk is dead, or do you think we move? And also Shaka's still alive too, because why not? Actually too, while I'm whining a tiny bit, I'll tell you that when we first found out, when Atlas first told Bonnie, you controlled the pacifistas, and we saw her do it, and we saw them change, and I realized what was happening, it did feel a little bit like a Deus Ex Machina. Give me a second. Hold on. Let me explain. Because, what was it, a chapter or two ago, we found out that the self-destruct switch that Vegapunk was ordered to install on Kuma and Vegapunk, that Saturn, did try to activate, didn't work. It actually ended up being a shutdown switch instead of a self-destruct switch. And so, Saturn was like, hey, don't try to go behind me. I'm a man of science. I will notice. And Vegapunk was like, I'll try anyway. And he got away with it. And so to find out right immediately after that once again, Vegapunk was like, I'm going to go behind Saturn's back and I'm going to do something different. And that too, it's like, it felt a little bit Deus Ex Machina to me. It's not that big of a deal, honestly, because the dialogue that follows it, with him talking about how he wants Kuma to always be on her side, and this is him issuing his free will, or rather his willful actions, and he's willing to take the consequences for his willful actions. I think it's beautiful. So I'm really not fussed over this. All I'm saying is if in the next chapter Vegapunk is like, yeah, I have been run through, but it's fine, because I thought ahead and I put together preventative measures, and I'm gonna be like, okay, 3's too many, okay? We can't just keep doing this. That was a little quibble. It was a tiny complaint, and it really didn't affect how I felt about this chapter, because I adored this chapter, but I said it. Anyway, next up is Kizaru, and I gotta tell you, I cannot believe how ridiculously invested I have been in the idea that Kizaru is going to turn on our side. It's really ridiculous, actually. So when Saturn told Kizaru to go, didn't he? I'm not seeing that, actually. Oh yeah, it says it right here. Eliminate them, Kizaru. And so here he comes, here he is, with his light sword over his head, ready to take them down. And he says, I'll cut you both in two. Don't worry, Bonnie, it won't hurt. I was like, okay, Kizaru, please don't do this. Please don't disappoint me. And then I turned the page and Luffy punched him. So obviously he's made his choice. I don't know why I was so invested in this, honestly. It's ridiculous, but I just really, really wanted Kizaru to turn. But I will say that the way Oda did it, and I'm not saying that Kizaru definitely absolutely has made every decision he's gonna make in this arc, but the way Oda did it, I think is still thematically so satisfying, because it's Vegapunk saying, I chose to follow my free will. I chose to insert my free will over following the orders of the powers that are trying to control me. Saturn's entire plot in all of Egghead has been trying to squash people's individuality, their free will, their self-decisions, so that he can control them and so that he can have what he wants. And so having Vegapunk willfully making willful actions that he knows come with consequences, but he chooses to face those consequences to keep his free will, to keep his sense of self, to keep his individuality and what his own values and desires are. And then follow that up with Kizaru, who it's been teased. I mean, it's been outright shown to us that he's not happy to do this. He's not happy to kill Vegapunk. He's not happy to kill Kizaru, or he's not happy to kill Bonnie. He doesn't want any of this. And this is hurting him. It's paining him. But he's still making the choice to stick with what he's chosen. This is my lot in life. So here I am. This sucks, but this is my job. So actually, the way Oda did it, it works out pretty brilliantly to have Vegapunk make this choice knowing it'll cost him his life, but making it anyway, immediately followed by Kizaru making his choice to surrender that individuality, that sense of self, that willful action, that following his conscience and what he believes is right. So they balanced each other so well that even though I wanted this so bad, I'm really, really satisfied with the way that Oda did it. And again, I'm sure Kizaru still has I'm sure there's still stuff going on with Kizaru, but if this is the end of it, if Kizaru has made his choice and we just watched it happen, I'm really happy with the way Oda chose to go with it. Anyway, Luffy is back into the fight. He is Sun God Nika and he is fighting. He punched Kizaru out of the way. He saved Bonnie and Kuma. He is the hope that they've been waiting for in action in this moment. Kizaru has been hit and he's just kind of like reeling. He's not getting back up. He's not fighting hard. He's not looking for, okay, I'm coming back for more. He's getting, to me, it feels like he's just tired of it. Like, I don't even want to fight this fight. Can it just be done already? We hear Sun God Nika's heartbeat. That, once again, activates the Iron Giant, confirmation that the last time the Iron Giant was waking up, it was, in fact, Luffy's heartbeat that was doing it, because then Luffy went down, and then we didn't hear from the Iron Giant, and now Luffy's back up, and here's the Iron Giant again. So, he is getting activated once again, and now we have Vegapunk bleeding out in Bonnie's lap, and Bonnie remembering, Nika, that's right, he's my idol. He appears from the blue with laughter and his rhythm. Doom da da doom da da doom. And then there's the panel of her seeing him in the air, in the iconic pose, light shining down on her, realizing this is it. This is who we've been waiting for. This is who my dad has been reminding me over and over again not to give up hope in. This is the one that just saved us, is the one that my dad has promised me would come to save us. This is the panel that my artist decided to depict this time, but she decided to depict it looking at Bonnie instead of looking from behind. It's the light shining on her. It's Luffy reflected in her eyes, carried by the rhythm that his heartbeat brings, followed by her and Kuma dancing together. It's stunning, honestly. T'Seen always captures the emotion of the panel so well, and I can see it in her eyes. The wonder, the shock, I can't believe he's here. I can't believe this is the time it happened. When all hope was lost, when my father was dying, and Vegapunk was in my lap dying too, Sun God Nika was here at the final hour to protect us all. There he is. I'm looking at him right now. It's a panel of her hope being restored. In the wake of feeling like all is lost, her hope arrived. I also love that that's followed up by Vegapunk saying, "This Buster Call is futile. For centuries, people all over the world have been waiting for him." Man, I love it so much. It's funny, T'Seen is opening up a shop to sell her prints. She's gotten loads of DMs from y'all. Thanks so much for supporting her, by the way. I love that y'all have rallied around her because she works so hard. She devotes so much to creating these incredible art pieces you don't even know. So I love that y'all have rallied around her like this. Anyway, she's gotten a lot of DMs asking if she's gonna offer her art as prints. So she's working on it. And I've actually ordered a few to hang on my wall. Now I have to order this one too. That's kind of annoying to see. You can't just make me order a new print every single week. Like, I mean, I will, but you know, stop outdoing yourself every time. That's, what are you doing? Anyway, we find out who came in on the ship, on the boat last chapter and took out the naval ship and let the scientists go. And it was Dorian Broggy! It's so funny. I love that the entire fandom was theorizing, but theorizing in the way that's like, let me guess every possible guess. It's not like everybody agreed upon one or two theories and we're seeing which one is correct. It's like, we'll just throw every possibility at the wall. And we still got it all wrong. Like, we were still wrong. Oda still surprised us, but it still managed to be satisfying. So I'm really excited about that. I love the lines as they came in where they're like, why? Why are you here? Well, it's inevitable. You can't fight the inevitable, baby. And then, we're here for you, Straw Hat. Or should it be Sun God? So they know, which makes sense. It seems like the humans are the only ones. They're always the last to know figures. They're the only ones that are like living in ignorance, but all these other races are all aware of the legend of the sun god Nika. So here they are, knowing who they're waiting for, knowing who they're coming for. I don't know if Shanks told them, because Shanks, you know, there's that theory that Shanks knew all along what this devil fruit truly was. So I don't know if Shanks told them because, like, hey, you know that guy that you guys know about because of your lore? Well, there he is. Go get him. Or if they identified it just like Kuma did when they met Luffy. But either way, they're here. What role are they going to play? That's the question that I have next. Because now, at this point, we have two giants, the Iron Giant waking up, so now 3 giants. We have Sun God Nika. Bonnie's hope has been restored, so her devil fruit is potentially active again. All of the Straw Hats, all of the pacifistas. So like, we're kind of stacked at this point. Like, what I mean, Blackbeard is still just chilling out in the waters, or at least his ship, not necessarily Blackbeard. But we still have opportunity to kind of bolster Saturn's side. And I know Saturn is immortal and everything, but at this point, our odds are looking pretty all right. Of course, the other elders could come through their own little summoning circles, and then that would make it not look so good. Either way, every single week, I am having the time of my life, and Ticine is just making it better. So, do you think Vegapunk is dead? And if he is, do you still think Kuma is going to die? Personally, I love the idea of Vegapunk being the sacrifice, because this arc, thematically, this arc we've all kind of been saying for a long time, someone's gonna die here. And we've been looking at Kuma. So if it turns out that was a misdirection and it's actually Vegapunk, and now that leaves us open for potentially letting Kuma live on so he can finish raising his daughter, I love that. The only problem I have with that is then who carries on with Vegapunk's knowledge? I mean, obviously the other satellites do, the ones that are left, but I do feel that we haven't necessarily built up the personality of any of the remaining satellites enough for it to be like, you're obviously the next leader. Now, Lilith and Atlas are both options. It would probably be Lilith of the two, but Lilith is evil. So, or she's the encompassment of Vegapunk's evil, whatever exactly that means. But maybe now that Shaka's dead, maybe Lilith can absorb Shaka and Lilith can be good and evil. I don't really know how all that really works, honestly. Like, what happened to the good of Vegapunk after Shaka died? I still don't really know. But truthfully, after Egghead is done, our part of the story with the Vegapunks is also probably pretty much done. So just being able to say, you're the new figurehead, you're the new leader of the Vegapunk army, fleet. Lilith, you are now the main Vegapunk. continue doing your experiments, continue doing your research, continue, you know, making the world advance, would be fine because they would turn into background characters anyway. So I guess it's really not that big of a deal. But I do love the idea of the arc building up Kuma to be the sacrifice, and then it ends up being Vegapunk, and Kuma gets to finish being a dad. I really love that. So we'll see. I know probably the majority of the fandom is still kind of like, we should kill Kuma. Like, that's what it's been building to. I don't want to cop out. But to me, the cop out would be keeping Vegapunk alive, because that was a really good death scene. And when a character gets a really good death scene, I'd like for them to stay dead. Kinemon! Anyway, what did you think of the chapter? I post videos every Monday and Friday on this channel, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays on the book channel. Always linked in the description. I'll see you again soon. Bye.